Hello and welcome to The Reasons I'm Broke, episode number 82. I'm Daniel.
And I'm Kelly.
And for any new brokettes out there, this is a podcast about the reasons that Kelly and I are broke. This ranges from comics, movies, TV, video games, and more.
We should include groceries, gasoline, oil changes.
They don't want to hear about that.
My rent, utilities.
They want to hear about Batman.
Water is not cheap.
Water types are not cheap. Now we're talking about Pokemon, see? It's all going to segue, whatever you talk about.
Grass types.
Yeah, grass types. It's expensive to water your grass. Okay, so basically the way this show works is we cover some news first, ranging from comics, movies, TV, video games, and more, and then we end the podcast with our pull list from the week. So our comics, DC, Marvel, and indie, mainly comics, or DC comics, because we are huge on Batman.
Batman! Yes, Batman.
So we usually break it down here on video games, starting off first, but you were going to say something?
Oh no, I was just going to say we're going to jump right into our news now, because this is important news. This is exciting news. This is my childhood, almost my childhood, not really, but Mario Kart 8. We got a new trailer.
We did. This is the game.
Awesome.
It's the game coming out on the Wii U.
Mm-hmm.
Exclusive on that system. This is the game that is said to be, that is going to move Wii U systems finally.
Absolutely. Of course it will.
We ended up buying a Wii U. We picked up Pikmin 3. We've been buying a lot of the Virtual Console games, especially more recently, if you heard our last episode, we did pick up a Metroid Fusion.
You picked up Metroid Fusion. I'm about to pick me up a Link to the Past.
Link to the Past, yeah.
The older one.
The prequel to the game that I like is what you're saying.
Exactly.
To the one Zelda game you like. You saw the trailer to the Link to the Past.
I did. It looks awesome. Maybe that's just because I like A Link Between Worlds. I'm like, it's like the same map. Graphics aren't as good, but might be okay. No, it did look really cool. Link Between Worlds, if you guys listened to the last podcast, was my first Zelda game. Played it, beat it in 3 days? Like a very small amount of time, and I still haven't beaten Pokemon. I take forever to beat games. So I love that one. I'm hoping I'll love another one, and it's great that the Nintendo shop has it up there. I can play it on the little gamepad on our Wii U, and it's just like having it on my handheld.
Yeah, one thing I did hear, they released a bunch of Game Boy Advance games on the Wii U. So the main complaint I heard about this, somehow there's a complaint, is that it's not on the 3DS. They're saying that Game Boy Advance games, which were handheld, should be on the go on the 3DS. My argument is the Wii U has nothing coming out this month in April. So they went, these games, which were originally part of the Ambassador program, they said were never going to be re-released. It was a bonus for people that bought a 3DS ahead of time. They ended up re-releasing, and for the Wii U. So to me, that's just bonus. Mm-hmm. And then to say that it should be handheld because they were handheld games, I'm like, the Wii U is a little dry right now in April. At least they have something. Just be happy that these games came out again. With
the Wii U gamepad, though, it's pretty much a handheld. I only really play my games at home, and I only need it when I go to the bathroom. Just, take it in there. The rest of the time, I'm sitting on the bed or on the couch or something. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, basically, people can be watching, playing PS3 or whatever on the television, and you can continue playing, Metroid Fusion or A Link to the Past on your Wii U gamepad. Mm-hmm. It's just like a handheld, like you said, except a much bigger screen, and in my opinion, a much more comfortable experience because the Wii U gamepad is actually pretty comfortable to hold. It's not very heavy.
Because you have man hands.
What do you mean?
You got the big hands, so you can hold the big gamepad. People like me, we gotta our arms are all the way apart trying to...
You push the buttons with your fist.
I jump on them. Hey!
You're not an elf.
I gotta jump over here. Up! But we digress. Back to Mario Kart 8. Can I call it Mario Kart Infinity?
It's not an infinity symbol, though.
It is pretty much an infinity symbol.
It's just an inverted infinity symbol.
Can I call it Mario Kart Inverted Infinity?
Call it Mario Kart 8. Because the one before this was called Mario Kart 7. I'm not a fan of them just numbering them. But it's just it's a title. Who gives a shit?
No, I guess.
So Mario Kart 8, the first thing we want to touch up on are the graphics.
Beautiful.
We're not podcasters that love the graphics. We don't go on and on about graphics. That's the last thing we look at. If you are a long-time Broquette listener, you know that we care about the gameplay more than anything. How much fun you actually have, how compelling the story is, and how long the game is. Is it so many hours long and you're having fun throughout that it gives you your money's worth? Or did you only have fun for 4 hours, so essentially you paid $20 an hour or whatever to play. So the graphics on Mario Kart 8, if you look at the more recent trailer, you can look at it in high definition. The tracks look great. The character animations look amazing. The items have never looked better.
Agreed. It is. Now, okay, to be fair, I haven't played Mario Kart since Mario Kart 64.
So to you, the graphics are like a big jump.
Yeah. I mean, I watched you play the other ones, but I think Mario Kart was the first game I had on the N64, and I played that bitch for hours, man. You go to what's it called town? The western town. And I was like, I'm gonna drive on the train track. And just 30 minutes I could spend in that level, just like exploring.
Never finished the level.
It was not a shortcut, by the way. Just throwing that out there. Driving on the train tracks is not a shortcut. But no, I spent, forever on that game, and I haven't played one since because they added all this other stuff, and I'm not a very good gamer.
Well, the thing about Mario Kart 8, and any Mario Kart that's come up since then, is even if you're in first place for most of the race, like, the person that's in 8th will end up with, like, 2 bullet bills and a blue shell to throw you back in 6th.
Bullet bill?
Bullet bill. It's this item that you turn into a bullet bill. Well, some listeners may have been like you that haven't played it since the N64 one, but you turn into a bullet bill, and it essentially jumps you up about 4 places in the race, knocking out everyone that's in between.
I remember the lightning bolts.
Goddamn lightning bolt. I hated those. One time in the Mario Kart Double Dash, I remember I was just shy of winning the race in first place. I got hit with a green shell, then Thunderbolt, and then the blue shell. I was like, this is fucking bullshit. I remember I turned off the system that day. Like, I was like, I'm done with Mario Kart today, because I finished in like 5th or some bullshit.
That sucks.
I was like, no more of this nonsense.
Well, this next bit I think is going to add to your frustration a lot, too. They have added 12-player online competitive play.
I think that's good, personally. I like the online play on the Wii version. I felt like it was really smooth. If only the tracks were a little bit more fun, and I don't know, I felt like the Wii U Mario Kart wasn't as good as like the 3DS one or the DS one. But this Wii U one, it looks great, and with the better system, the better hardware, the online play can only be better.
You're gonna get really frustrated though.
Yeah, I'll still play though.
I'm gonna hear a lot of bad words.
It's not Call of Duty.
I don't know. You get pretty competitive with this stuff.
Yeah, I do. So some new features that were added: the speed boost. Basically, this item, you get a small burst of speed when you bump into other players. That's pretty big. So any of the bigger players out there, so if you choose Donkey Kong or Bowser, and you bump into another player, since you are the bigger character, you'll actually get a speed boost. Whereas if you're Toad bumping into Donkey Kong, I don't think you get that speed boost because you are smaller. In the other Mario Kart games, usually that would push you further away than you'd actually push them.
Right. Interesting. We also have a Piranha Plant item. It attaches to the front of the cart and chomps the other players. Whenever the piranha bites down, the controlling players gets a small speed boost.
So it's kind of like the Bullet Bill a little bit.
That's cool, except he's like, it's time. Nom, 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 nom.
You turn into Pac-Man, essentially.
I'm gonna bite your head. Nom, nom.
Also, the Boomerang Flower item, I'm probably not going to use this one too much. When thrown at an opponent, it arcs and it hits other racers in the way. It can be thrown forwards and backwards. It's similar to, I guess, what would be the classic blue shell, in which it would hit any player that was in the way, except this one's more short distance, and you can throw it behind you as well. I think it's going to be more rare that you actually hit multiple players than just the one you're aiming at.
I'm going to bite your tires. I'm going to be on this all week, man.
Just the Piranha Plant?
The Piranha Plant. Nom, nom, nom. He's got a voice now. He's got a soul.
Peter Piranha.
I agree with the Boomerang, though. It's going to be very difficult because it's that split second they could move and then you've lost it.
Yeah.
We also, for the first time ever in Mario Kart, have live recorded music, and it sounded beautiful.
It sounds great. Very similar to Mario Galaxy. The soundtrack in Mario Galaxy was amazing. Same with Smash Brothers Brawl. That was live orchestrated as well. They released it on like a CD and everything.
That's so cool.
So in Mario Kart, it just shows that the type of money that they put into this game. So they want not only the graphics to look great, which from the trailer they do, they're really pushing the Wii U. It kind of makes you wonder if Nintendo is holding back on some of these developers.
Oh, I'm sure.
Like, here you go, here's the development kit, but our games are going to look the best.
But I'm going to keep the good stuff. Meow, meow, meow.
Yeah, the Piranha Plant.
The Piranha Plant runs Nintendo, I guess.
So for this one, the music's going to be awesome. It's going to be live orchestra, and it does actually add to the experience because you do notice it when you're playing. I noticed it in Galaxy, and it just goes to show that something like this, a big hit, they got to make sure that every part of it, especially during this Wii U dry cycle where it's not selling very well, every part of it has to be quality. It has to be, top notch.
Well, and we got to hear Rainbow Road.
There are 2 Rainbow Roads
yes.
in this game.
But we got to hear the music from it, and I was like, oh, I just feel anxious and headaches, and it's never going to end.
All that pain in playing those Rainbow Roads.
And then, oh man, I remember, again, 64. You had, what's his name, Chain Chomp. He'd come out of nowhere and be like, bang, bang, and it was horrible. I cried so many tears on that level. I really did get bad migraines playing it too.
All those damn colors. Like, yep. I'm sure they didn't take that into consideration. Like, let them play these fucking games.
And now they've taken it and they're like, add more. Add 2 of them. Fuck it.
Also, this is pretty big for me especially. The Mario Kart 8 can be played with a variety of control schemes, including the Wii Remote and Nunchuck, the Wii U Gamepad, and the Wii U Pro Controller.
That's really cool. That could make the difference in a lot of games, depending on how people learn how to control and how they play best.
A lot of people are still used to the Wii Mario Kart, in which you hold just the Wii Remote and you use it as the steering wheel. And other players like me prefer to have a traditional controller, so I'll use the Wii U Gamepad or the Wii U Pro Controller.
Can we hook up my uncomfortable N64 controller?
Nope.
The thing was not comfortable at all.
That is on no one's list for best controllers.
That was one of my favorites.
It made no sense. Like, you have the middle part and then you have the one side part, which you never used.
I never used the left side part.
And to be fair, that joystick was not the best.
Now, mine only makes some crusty noises.
It does always make crusty noises.
I'm just trying to turn. It's a great system. Leave it alone. Mine's still in the closet. Should bust that bitch out.
So, Mario Kart 8 looks great. We're buying it, of course.
Very
Day 1.
Excited.
We'll be there. Next bit of news, it kind of relates to the next game that will be the big seller for Wii U. I already said it. The Super Smash Brothers game for the Wii U. There will be a Nintendo Direct on Tuesday, April 8th at 6 p.m. Eastern.
Can't wait. They will probably release another character, if I had to guess.
I agree.
We'll see more gameplay, probably, and everyone will get excited and be like, ah!
More importantly, we'll probably get a street date.
Yes, hopefully. Do we have one for Mario Kart yet?
Yeah, it's next month.
Yes.
It's coming up a little bit over a month. I think it's the 29th.
Awesome.
So Smash Brothers, I'm really excited. I don't know what character they're going to show. I don't think it's going to be a character that's appeared in the series in the past. I think it's going to be an all-new original character for Smash Brothers.
Really? But something we've seen, like a Nintendo character?
Oh, yeah.
Just not...
Yeah.
Okay, so let's guess.
I could not guess. I think it's going to be... I think it could be another female character.
I think it's going to be somebody from Rhythm Heaven. Pulled that out of my ass.
That would be awesome.
I would be so... Nobody would know who it was, but I would be so excited.
Which Rhythm Heaven character would you want?
I don't even know. There's so many. Oh, I love them all. This is a great game. I need to beat that game.
I think they should put that bird from Rhythm Heaven.
You just liked that bird because...
The, like, Nazi birds?
Yes. Peck your beak. Stretch out your neck.
Hail Hitler. I'm like, whoa. That guy just Hail Hitler.
I want those spinny blocks that go dun, 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 dun.
Oh, like the
dun,
robots?
Dun, they weren't robots, Danny.
Spinny blocks.
They were spinny blocks. And you let them be spinny blocks. It's a great game. I don't know who it's going to be. I have no idea.
For the next podcast, we'll know for sure. We'll talk about it next week.
Next up, something that I am more excited for than I should be. Don't make fun of me, Danny, when I announce this. There will be a special edition Mickey 3DS XL releasing on April 11th to promote Disney Magical World in North America.
Disney Magical World is the upcoming 3DS game. It's kind of like Wii Party or the Nintendo Land game, but for the 3DS. You get to visit the different parks and ride the different rides. The rides, of course, are mini games, but then you create your own character. It's not a Mii character, but it's Disney's version of the Mii character, and then you control that character as you play the mini games.
I want to play this game.
I know you want to play that game.
Don't make fun of me. I want to play the game.
Tell them what the 3DS XL looks like.
It's so cool. It's white, and it's got, like, kind of cream and gold Mickey heads all over it, and then it says Disney Magical at the bottom of it, but it reminds me of Kingdom Hearts, and that's why I like it.
That's why you like... See, I would have liked it better if it was black with the gold and silver. I think it would have popped more.
Yeah, but then it's not magical like Disney.
What I was going to say, they've got the darkest soul of all, because all that money they make, there's no way they're not screwing someone over.
We'll talk about that later, off the air.
So yeah, there you go. Mickey 3DS XL, it's coming out. All the Disney fanatics are going to be all over that.
I think it looks really cool. Just wash your hands and it won't get dirty. Won't get too dirty.
It'll just get yellow over time.
Yeah, it happens. It's life. But definitely pick it up. I think the special edition 3DSs are cooler than the regular ones. I mean, not just because they're special edition, but also if you feel like reselling them later, play it for a couple years. Somebody will still buy that bitch used.
Your Pikachu...
My
right
Pikachu
now?
one's still like worth $400. That's more than I paid for it, and it's used.
You should sell it.
No. Why don't you sell your Zelda one? Wait, it's got my game on it. You can't.
Because my Zelda game's like retail right now. It's not going up in price.
My Pikachu did.
Yeah, you're definitely... It was so limited. It was ridiculous.
Oh, yeah.
With this, we'll jump into the April Fool's jokes that we got this year. Or the ones that we enjoyed the most. We'll save the best one for last, I think. So the first one is Mega Raichu was put up an article from PokemonPodcast.com. It was a supposedly leaked image straight out of the Korokoro magazine.
That Raichu looked like a punk.
What, because of the mohawk?
Yes. Didn't he have on like little gloves? You got the picture? Let me see the picture.
It's like a Mr. T Raichu.
Let me analyze. Okay. Yes, look, he's got like little gloves on, right? And he's got this super whip tail and his little mohawk. Mm-hmm. He's a punk Raichu. And
his ears got a lot longer, sharper, and like the belly got some spikes on it. I think it looks almost like a legitimate Mega Evolution.
Yeah.
I guess a real Mega Evolution would probably have spikes and shit coming out of it. But usually the artist fake ones look much better than the ones that they end up with.
I won't deny that. This does look cool. I would probably maybe almost evolve my Pikachu if I could get that thing. As we know, it's an April Fool. You can kind of tell it's not really a real picture. Really, people were fooled.
If you just Google Mega Raichu PKMNcast.com, it'll pop up on there. You can check it out. I think my favorite part of this fake design are the like lightning bolts coming out of the hands as well. Like that's the first time you see that from Pikachu. Usually it's the cheeks, but you got it coming out of the hands.
Gloves.
Well, he had gloves in the Raichu form too.
Yeah, but these are more punk gloves.
Why? Because they got little spikes coming out of them?
No, because he's got a mohawk. That's the only reason.
So it was well done though. Like it's a really good fake.
Yep. I've seen some great fake megas, and I'm like, these are awesome, and they show you the real ones, and I'm like, those are not awesome.
Right.
Hire these other people.
Yeah.
But what do I know? I don't make the money. Next up, we have Domino's. They released an Eddie box, which looked like some bread.
It was, basically like a pizza box with bread on it, and it was to say, like, it was more environmentally friendly. You eat the box, and if you don't, it just breaks down, because it's fucking bread. It was obviously a fake, but it was just, I was like, that sounds kind of delicious.
I want a pizza box
especially
bread.
if it's like cheesy bread.
I'd be all over that.
Also, the Optimus Prime Titanfall DLC, that looked real. Like, honestly, you have Optimus Prime as a skin on your Titanfall, everyone would use that thing.
Oh, yeah.
It probably just wouldn't transform, though, into a vehicle, because I don't think they have vehicles in Titanfall. I don't have an Xbox One, so I don't know.
But yeah, you can make shit tons of money. But then they'd have to get the licensing, and how much would that cost?
That's true. They'd have to give him money for everything. I mean, I'm sure they could work something out.
Just call him Poptimus Arm.
Poptimus Crime. Make him a police officer.
Is he like, you say Poptimus, I think of like an old man that you call Pop.
Mm-hmm. Just think like a fucking officer badge on him and a big mustache. And they're like, no longer Optimus Prime.
He's Poptimus Crime. I'm gonna pop the shit out you, Crime.
Poptimus Crime. Should be a hashtag. This one was a little outlandish too.
There was a Destiny's Collector's Edition that was released. No pictures, just they said everything that was included. It was $7 million and included a quest to Mars.
The description said that they would put you to sleep for like a couple of months and they would reawaken you when you landed in Mars. $7 million.
How would they get you home? Did anybody bother to think about that?
Oh, you stay there. That's another $7 million if you want to get back.
Oh, shit.
Another one was Nestor from Nintendo Power joining the Super Smash Bros. Cast.
They had some good ones this year.
Yeah, I thought so too. If you remember, Nestor, the old Nintendo Power magazines had these comics, these cartoons in which Nestor would give you information. It would pretty much sell you on a game that came out recently, but then it would give you like tips at the same time on what was happening. So, like for the Metroid games, Nestor would get an upgrade and use it against a certain boss in the game that you needed to use it against. And then Nestor, I think, made it to a video game for the Virtual Boy. It was like a bowling game. He was one of the characters that you can use. Mm-hmm. But there's no, like, Nintendo's long forgotten about Nestor.
Apparently not.
If they put in Rob the Robot in the Super Smash Bros. Brawl, like, it's almost feasible that they'd put in Nestor. Almost. But obviously released on April 1st, so no one believed it.
All right. And finally, the best thing ever. I still don't think this was an April Fool's. This was an April genius.
An April gift.
Yes. I went, thank you. Google Maps, if you guys had the app, and I hope you did, and I hope you took advantage of it, you could catch motherfucking Pokemon.
Yep, on your Google Maps, it updated automatically. So this wasn't a download. Everybody got it. Even people that are like, what the fuck is Pokemon? Like, they got that Pokemon update on it. Basically, you scroll around in the map on Google Maps, and on major landmarks, you can catch up to 150 Pokemon. And they put out this fake message that anyone that caught all 150, they would get, like, specially chosen to be a Pokemon master to work for Google. But then later on, like, they were like, yeah, we weren't going to choose anyone.
I'm sure there are some people who found all 151, and if you did, good for you. Because that game was hard. I think I might have gotten to 75.
That's way higher than most people.
Might have gotten to 75. But yeah, they were on landmarks. I actually have a screenshot of when I caught Pikachu. He was on Tokyo Tower.
Yeah.
And I have my favorite part of it, though, and I thank Google for this. I thank them. Because I saw some beautiful things on my journey.
What'd you see?
Well, because before I was just scrolling through it regularly, and there were just blocks of, green and blocks of this. Mm-hmm. So I did the satellite view, because why not something, interesting? And I was on the tops of mountains, and I was out in the ocean, and you could see, I went to the Bermuda Triangle at one point, because I'm like, there's gotta be a fucking Pokemon there. Nope, even they didn't want to go there. They're like, I'll disappear. No way. But even, I'd be out in that ocean. I'm like, well, let me scroll this way. And you'd see where the ocean just dipped down. And then the water just got black because it was so deep and the light couldn't get that far. And, you go over big cities and you just, you see all these roads and buildings. And there's some amazing stuff in our world. And it took Pokemon to get me to see that. But I had a lot of fun. I think I was up... I saw one comment because I was, reading, is this really real? And one person goes, thanks, Google. My night is gone now. And I was very tempted to stay up all night and try and find them all.
It was only up for 2 days.
Mm-hmm. It went up the 31st, and they took it down early morning on the 2nd.
Yeah. So not long at all.
But it was great. If they brought it back up, hell, man, I would just leave it up all the time.
My favorite was when they showed the video of people, with their camera in cities and Onyx going through the city or whatever, and you were like, oh, you can really do that. That wasn't a part of the April Fool's.
Know,
I'm like, no, that was fake.
People told me that was
so you did fall for one.
Yes, I did. I did. That was the only April Fool's anybody got on me, though.
Just that one?
Yeah. Nobody tried to April Fool's me, which I was glad for.
If it's going to be anything, it might as well be Pokemon.
Oh, yeah. But, I don't even see that as an April Fool's. April gift. April genius. I would pay to play that. I would give Google $1 to have that on my maps all the time. To be like, cool, how do I get to this doctor's office? And find out there's a fucking Togepi next to it. I'd be like, thank you, Google.
I'll catch that.
My dollar was worth something. I went to a good cause.
Yeah.
I would do it. Google, if you're listening, do this. $1. 99 cents. I pay $1.06. Add tax. Why not?
Also, so those were the April Fools. I'm assuming that was your favorite one out of all of them, the Google. That was probably my favorite too, Google Maps.
Even though you didn't play.
I didn't play, but I did
just
see
said,
you like...
when you catch a Bulbasaur, let me know.
Did you ever catch a Bulbasaur?
No, it doesn't exist.
It exists.
It didn't exist.
It's
There's
there.
only 150.
It's gotta
They
be
had to
there.
add like Punkaboo and stuff.
No
Honey
Mega
Boo
Raichu.
Boo and...
For movies, we did see Noah.
Twice.
And we saw it twice this last weekend. That's how much I liked it.
You did. You loved that. It was a really good movie.
All right, so Noah, we've been anticipating this movie for a while now. A couple of episodes, we've been following up on some of the production and some of the release dates for it around the world. So it finally released here in the U.S. Thankfully, it did really well. Honestly, Darren Aronofsky, he's my favorite director. He made my favorite movie of all time, which is The Fountain. And any one of his movies that have released, I've liked them all. The Wrestler, Black Swan, Pi, Requiem for a Dream, and now Noah. Really, really, really good movies. So Noah, we're going to go ahead and talk about it. We're going to have our thoughts on each one of ours, and then go ahead and go into some of the controversy behind the movie.
Some of it.
There's a lot of controversy behind it. And it's funny because, I mean, I really like movies. I was a film major before I switched over to something else. And so it's just kind of fun following what people think, how quickly they are to disregard how good a story is or how good the filmmaking and editing is just because of what the movie represents. So do you want to start with your thoughts or should we start with me?
I thought it was great. You know, we both understood very well what we were going into when we saw this movie, which we'll get into it later. A lot of people don't understand that. The thing that struck me the most was how pretty it was. He does a lot with silhouettes, and I love silhouettes. As you know, he's got some. I guess the scene that I remember the most, there's one where they're all walking, and there's the one where he and his wife are outside, Russell Crowe and his wife, and they're talking, and it's just, you know, them in the ground are black, and then the sky is just this beautiful pinks, and it fades up into blues because the sun's rising, and stuff like that was so pretty. You can tell where he spent his money in that movie, though.
The CGI.
Yes, that's where most of the money went, which sometimes you were like, that's CGI, and sometimes it looked great. The last scene where we see the animals, where it's the mother and babies, I couldn't tell that was CGI the first time we watched it.
Yeah, if you go on IMDb, check out the trivia, no real animals were used for this movie. It's all computer, and like you said, some of it is obvious, like the far away shots, you can tell that is all, of course, fake. There's no way they gathered all these animals to go in one direction, of course. But the close-up shots are really, really good. Like, they're ridiculously good. I'm even astounded, and I'm the guy that's anti-CGI, use real costumes, use real animatronics or whatever. But for this, I'm like, they may have reached a point in which you don't have to use real-life animals anymore. They can go with this CGI that, to me, I was like, that's fake? There's no way that's fake. And you look it up, and yeah.
I want them to be like, April Fools!
Got you, bitch. They got me this year. So the visuals were amazing, and this was the highest budget he's gotten, I think, thus far. And this is a director that normally doesn't get shit, and he makes it work, and he makes great movies because of it. I feel like it kind of forces him to explore new ways to tell the story when you don't have the budget. And for here, he was finally able to do what he wanted, and he co-wrote the film with someone else. It really is like a personal project. My favorite part about the story is he wrote Noah right after The Fountain kind of fell apart. The Fountain had to go through 2 tries before it got made. After the first time when Brad Pitt left the project for The Fountain, he went ahead and started writing Noah. So you see a lot of influences from The Fountain in this Noah movie. I mean, you get a lot of influences. You get the seeds in there, the symbolism about nature and seeds and environmentalism, and it just continues on in the story. And what he did is he took the biblical tale of Noah, he gave it complexity, he gave it layers, he made Noah into a really interesting character, made a hell of a movie in the end.
He did sneak the fountain in there, though. Remember that part?
Yeah.
We got that gold. I see what you did there, Aronofsky. But no, I agree with everything that you said. Having heard the story of Noah growing up, it was a very bland tale to me.
Somehow the mass extinction of, a ton of animals and humans is bland
Yeah,
when told in the Bible.
I mean, and how I always heard it, and maybe I like to think that I actually read the story. I don't know that I actually did, but they don't emphasize on all that. It's God's gonna wipe out the world, but Noah and his family were safe. God's gonna do this, but these guys are good. Like that's kind of how it's always told.
Mm-hmm.
You don't focus or see the flip side of, holy shit, all this stuff is really bad. All these people were really bad. Like they say the world was wicked. But you get to see it here.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, that was so great. And I think a lot of people could benefit from that if they didn't get hung up on other things.
Right. I did put up an update. It wasn't on Twitter or anything. It was on my personal Facebook, that people that look at Noah and say, this is not how it happened in, my version of the Bible or whatever. When they look at it, they sound like Harry Potter nerds. Like, that's not how it happened in the book. Like, I don't like it because it didn't happen like that. It's like, well, was the movie good?
Right.
Was the story good? So what if they changed this? Was it to benefit something else? And it was. One prime example is they made Noah and his family, they made them vegetarians. And I believe in many versions of Noah and the Bibles, the biblical God gave them animals to eat on the ark.
Mm-hmm.
In this one, they made Noah into... they added that as a part of his positives, and they made the wicked carnivores because supposedly, according to the story they set up, the animals live as they did in the Garden of Eden. And Noah and his kids, he raises them as telling them, only take from the earth what you need. Eating animals does not make you stronger, as the wicked people believe or whatever. It's not just like a political agenda or anything. There's a purpose to it in the story, and it continues with the symbolism of saving the animals, the symbolism of caring for the earth and only taking what you need. And it's not just like them trying to ram environmentalism down your throat. It serves the story. That's just screenwriting 101. You have to have the character serve the story. Anything after that is just like gravy. Mm-hmm. The complexity of Noah, how guilty he feels that he can't save anyone.
Very human. They made him very human, and
exactly.
I've never seen him portrayed that way.
Mm-hmm.
And in everything else you see, he's above humanity.
Mm-hmm.
And here he was right there along with it. It was great.
Really amazing. And this movie was rated PG-13. It should have been rated R.
I think so.
Like, they show animals getting mutilated by, the wicked people. They show women getting traded for flesh. And it's some pretty heavy stuff in there. There's a lot of blood, too. Obviously, massive amounts of death. Because all these assholes are getting wiped off by giant floods. And it's pretty insane. But the selfish part of me says I'm glad it's PG-13 because that means more people were able to see it. Mm-hmm. So let's go ahead and talk about some of the things we felt they could have improved on, because it's not my favorite Aronofsky movie, and I do feel like it did have some problems. I didn't go into this movie thinking like, okay, I love this director, so everything he does is right. There are some parts that I felt he could have improved on, or maybe even reshot. I guess I'll start off with some of the performances by Hermione Granger or Emma Watson. I felt like, especially when she was giving birth, it was a little bit over the top, a little bit too much.
Now, whoa, slow down. I would just, as a woman here, I'm a channel my Gail Simone.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever seen birth?
It's fucked up, but it's never like what she was doing, like yelling and...
Oh, whoa. She did not have any drugs, sir.
No, but the creator helped her. Like,
no, he did not. Oh, please, no. No, I have talked to many women who have given birth, and even with the drugs, that's some painful shit. Okay, you realize... Do I want to get into this on the podcast?
All I'm saying is I didn't buy it. That's it.
Okay.
I didn't buy she was actually giving birth.
I bought it. I was like, I am never going through this. I will explain birth to you after we're done with the podcast.
The other parts, and this is because they wanted to bring in some of the characters from the original story. A couple of Noah's kids, they didn't really serve a purpose in the story. They were just kind of there because.
Oh yeah, Japheth.
The little one, and
Japheth.
even the oldest son. I'm like, you're not doing shit in here. You're really not. It was all about mainly Noah and Ham. And I felt like Ham was way more interesting, even though I didn't like his character.
I hated him.
We were supposed to hate him, and that means they did a good job with writing the character. I was more interested in Ham and Noah and his wife than I was anyone else. Even the king, because he was so tied into Ham, I was just like, these are the 4 characters that I most care about. Everyone else, you're not doing anything. You're not doing anything for the arc. You're not doing anything to give more complexity to the story. You're just kind of there. So it was just one of those things.
I agree, but I can see why he kept them, because this is a retelling of the story. Can he really call it under the same name if he removed them?
I don't know. You could have removed the youngest one at least.
Jay, no, you needed him.
No, you don't.
Yes, you do.
He didn't do anything.
Who was going to cover up naked Noah?
He didn't do that.
He
was the oldest.
No, he helped.
He helped, but it was the oldest that was like...
Okay, there's a part that I just... he was conflicting there. Because they walk up and he's naked, and Ham's just standing there like, she's naked. And then Shem goes, cover your eyes, to the youngest. But then half a second later, the youngest is carrying the blanket over with him.
It should have been just Shem covering him.
Yeah.
And I guess another part that I may have changed would have been the soundtrack. Clint Mansell is great. He was very memorable in The Fountain, Black Swan especially. For something like this, I expected so much more. Like there was not that memorable tune or that all-encompassing and devouring like sound that really told you like this is from Noah or this is from Clint Mansell. It was all kind of more generic. I felt like he played it safe in this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with that. Mm-hmm. I'm like this with most movies that I see for the first time, so I don't know if it's just because I saw it the first time because I liked it better the second time. But watching it the first time, it felt a little long, mostly because I didn't know when some scenes or some certain parts were going to end. Mm-hmm. A good example of this, the first time I saw Man of Steel, that opening when they're on the planet, that felt forever. Yeah. And the second time I knew what was going to happen and it didn't feel as long. And I can't even tell you in Noah when those parts happened for me, but there were certain parts that just felt a little more drawn out.
Gotcha.
As an average moviegoer, I mean, I don't take film classes, I don't look into all the little things, but I thought for the most part it was very well put together. I believed all the acting. Mm-hmm. I cried a lot.
I did. I'll admit I cried.
I cried.
In my old age, I found that...
Your old age.
I'm an old man.
Okay.
I'm either getting more sensitive or movies mean more to me and I get more lost in the story and in the characters and all that. Either way, it's fine because I'm enjoying the movie more because of it. Mm-hmm. And when a movie is able to move me to the point where I can cry or I can legitimately care about these guys, these characters, this fantasy that's playing in front of me on a 2D screen, like that's all it is, just images. Like that's great to me. And when a movie like Noah can do that, it's a winner. It's an excellent movie. It's a great story. It's well made. Some of the controversy that we can touch up on and. It's actually one of my favorite parts about it. The rock monsters.
Oh, man. They were the best.
Love the rock monsters.
Speaking of crying.
Yeah, the rock monsters were great. Spoiler alert if you plan to see Noah. The rock monsters in this were not in the biblical story or whatever. I don't want to say the real story because there's many versions of it and whether or not. The rock monsters here were given an excellent origin. They're essentially angels that decided to help humans as they were, growing up and developing by themselves in this world of sin or whatever. So they felt bad for Adam and Eve, who were tempted by, the snake and the fruit and all that. So they came down to earth. So the creator, as they call him the creator in this movie, they don't say God, the creator punished them for this. So they made them a part of the earth. And they did that by taking away their wings and their flying and all that. And when they crashed into Earth, the mud and the dirt became a part of their bodies. So they become like these rock monsters. They're like the Ents from Lord of the Rings, but much better. And I love the Ents from Lord of the Rings. That's like my favorite part of the movies. I don't really like Lord of the Rings, but I like those fucking Ents. And I like the rock monsters in this. Or as they're called, the Watchers.
Mm-hmm. The thing that I liked most about them, and it was so subtle, and I'm sure somebody somewhere meant to do this, and I don't think many people would pick up on it. But I did. It was the first thing I noticed about them. I felt so much for them. When you saw them, you get to see their heavenly form when they're coming to Earth. And they're graceful and they're beautiful. And when they animate them walking, they look in pain constantly. And they're just lugging around and they can't move. And I mean, they can move, but it's so difficult for them to move. And I felt so much for them because they had gone from there to here just because they wanted to help. And oh man, oh my heart. I loved them all so much, even that angry looking one.
The angry one that was like, fuck no, I'm gonna kill you.
He was great.
Even in the end, he was all right. He was all right.
that end. Oh man.
Yeah, that was probably the first when. That's when I like a tear. That first moment. I don't want to spoil that because it's such a great moment in the movie.
There was another one.
It was excellent. Like, they were really good. They were also really well animated. Like, it was better than claymation. Like, claymation, it doesn't look great with real life, but back in the day with Jason and the Argonauts or whatever, it's the best we had.
Right.
And this is almost like a mixture of CGI and stop motion because they're rocks, so they kind of jerk around. Yeah, exactly. Jerk around, and like you said, they do look like they're struggling and they're tired, and they just want to help the creator, and they want forgiveness, but of course the creator is silent on them because they betrayed the creator. And the whole time you're like, just help them. Like, they're little rock monsters. They're so cool. So that was it. It's a change, an artistic retelling of Noah. And that was one of the positives in it, I felt like. Another one was Noah, people call him deranged by the end of it. But this is a man that feels massive guilt.
Oh, right.
That knows that humans screwed up the earth and sees that humans are not worthy of continuing with the animals. So at one point in the movie, he even says, we're gonna die. We're gonna be the last humans on earth. God, the creator's not sparing us. We're being punished now. Like, now is our punishment, where we have to die off, and my youngest will be the last human.
I think there's even a part he says it's not punishment, it's justice. Because of what humans have done to the world. And yeah, there's a lot of criticism for that. And there's a lot of criticism for how violent everything gets when the floodwaters rise. They're like, he stands outside the ark and fights him off. And spoilers, sorry. But there was a lot of criticism for that. But I stop and think, like, you really think in the biblical story, when all the water started rising and falling, people were just like, oh, well, this is it. Like,
I guess we die now.
No, I think all of that would be very real. And I think, even if, going back to the biblical story, Noah was appointed by God, that guilt wouldn't just disappear. Even, going back to the biblical story, those were people that he knew. Those were people in the town that when he got this calling, he left. There's no way you look at those people and be like, well, you're dead now. Sorry, it's my fault. Peace out. Like, that wouldn't happen.
And I love that Aronofsky, I don't think it could have been done by the way it was by anyone other than Aronofsky, because Aronofsky is able to separate himself from the attachment that he has to the original story, because, he is an atheist. So he's able to explore, like, okay, so what would Noah actually feel like? He even said as a kid when he was being told, the story of Noah, he was always more fascinated by the inner darkness that Noah would harbor and have. And in this, he made him into a character that's like, the creator chose me because I'm able to look at evil, and I'm evil enough that I won't look away. But I also know what is right and what is wrong. Right. And that I thought was brilliant. Like, that's so perfect to characterize the character of Noah, and you struggle along with Noah because there is that one major conflict at the very end, even that you're like, some of you might be like, I think he should do this horrible thing because honestly humans are terrible. So I don't know. It's just one of those things, like you and I talked about it afterward. But if any of you want to discuss Noah, absolutely go on Twitter, find us at ReasonsI'mBroke, #Noah.
Can I say one more awesome thing from this movie? Anthony Hopkins.
Anthony Hopkins was the shit.
Oh, I don't think he was in the original story either, so good ad there.
More additions that were made better.
That's going to do it for our movie news, though. The whole 30 minutes you guys listen.
This episode is called Noah, by the way.
Oh, okay. We're going to move on to some comic book news, specifically DC. They have canceled the final 2 issues of Superman Unchained. DC says they'll resolicit the comics at a later date.
So that's Superman Unchained number 8 and 9.
Assholes.
Could this be another Batman, Superman, or Batman and Robin All-Star? All-Star Batman and Robin, if you guys remember, was delayed for months.
Aw.
And even to this point, never really finished. Honestly. For this one, I'm going to go ahead and blame Jim Lee.
How dare you?
Because Scott Snyder is never behind on Batman. And Jim Lee was behind on All-Star Batman and Robin.
Now, sir, what else is Jim Lee doing?
He's helping to run DC.
Running a motherfucking comic company.
But to me, like, finish Superman Unchained. Like, get far enough in the issues like Greg Capullo does, or every other artist that's working for DC, far enough to where you can give yourself some breathing room in case you fall behind like he apparently did. And, then start working on the story and then start announcing these comics. It's going to sell, obviously. It's got Jim Lee's name and Snyder's name on it. If they delayed it by 6 months, if Superman Unchained #1 was releasing today, it probably would have been on time. Like, you would have had all the issues coming out on time.
Yeah.
And I understand they wanted to bring it out with Man of Steel because that's just mass marketing appeal. But look at the comments we're seeing now. I'm not one to be on top of it either. Like, fuck you, DC. This is why Marvel's better, or this is why indie books are better. But it's just poor preparation, on their part.
I agree, but Jim Lee's got a lot on his plate. Like, would you rather him be making DC a great company or drawing a book?
Regardless, we're still going to pick up all of them.
Of course.
So,
if they come out 50 years from now, we're still going to pick it up.
It's been a great story. I really like Wraith, and Wraith done messed with the wrong guy at the last one with Batman.
He done moved inside the wrong range.
He did. Also from Newsarama, they had a really interesting question that I felt like we should discuss. Should DC resurrect Damian Wayne?
Yes.
Yes or no? You said yes.
Yes.
With the hunt for Robin, we know that there will eventually be a Robin because it's not Batman and Robin without Robin. But will it be Damian Wayne or will it be a new character? Will there be a new Robin next to the Batman?
We'll discuss it later.
Oh, with the new book?
Mm-hmm. I sounded like him there. That's who I was channeling. Did you feel that?
A little bit.
Okay, good.
One of the things they mentioned for Damian Wayne is that with the movies coming out like Son of Batman and Damian Wayne having a skin in the new Arkham Knight game, it only seems sensible that Damian Wayne will come back this year. Something that I haven't seen yet. I don't, correct me if I'm wrong if someone's already thought about this, and I'm sure they have. What if Damian Wayne comes back, not as Robin, works out of the Batcave, while Batman and the new Robin help out with Gotham and everything, while Damian Wayne stays at home, studies, continues to train and make himself better, helps out Batman from the Batcave, of course, with Alfred, and plays with Ace, Titus. One of the Twitter followers, he said that Damian would never accept this.
I agree.
That it would never happen. I said, true, unless it was Carrie Kelly. Damian Wayne is very partial to Carrie Kelly.
That's true.
They're like best friends.
I didn't think about that.
So that's the one way in which it would be really interesting, and I feel like it could work. I like Damian Wayne, still my favorite Robin, but that would be really interesting. It'd be the first in continuity female. Well, I guess we did have Stephanie Brown, but I forgot about Stephanie Brown, honestly, and I really don't care about the character. I don't know why people have been asking for Stephanie Brown to return.
Everybody is somebody's favorite character, except for the Creeper Constantine. Everybody hates them and they should die.
But Carrie Kelly would probably be a better Robin than Stephanie Brown.
Probably. That would be really interesting. I don't think it's going to happen. I think Damian Wayne will come back. I think he's going to be kept from Batman if he comes back. Something's going to come to an understanding where Damian will be alive, but he will not be in Batman's care again. I think a lot of readers, if he went back to being with Batman, specifically being Robin, would be like, well, then why kill him off? What was the point of going through this whole song and dance if we're just going to be back to where we started from? So I do honestly believe that he will come back. I don't believe it will be in the same role or possibly associated with Batman.
I have heard that argument, like, what was the point of killing him if he's just coming back? And people miss the whole idea behind storytelling. We wouldn't have had this great arc in which Batman is dealing with his son's death. These amazing issues in which we explore a side of Batman that we haven't really explored before if it wasn't for his death. Like, who gives a shit if he comes back and it was like, oh, well, all of this was for nothing? No, we explored something and we went down a story that we really haven't seen ever.
I agree with that, but as someone who likes to imagine stories and tell stories, I would feel like I went in a circle. Yes, this journey to here was great, but to just go back to that point, it would take some amazing writing, and you would have to see a whole lot of development in Batman himself to have Damian as his Robin. I mean, you get what I'm saying? Like, I would want to see the fruits of all this great development and growing that Batman has gone through. And I don't know that putting Damian back in that Robin position would make Batman have to make the final change that he needs to have grown this far.
I don't know. I don't feel like... I feel like all of this would be carried over into his return, whether it's as Robin or just Damian Wayne, because even in his death, he's learned so much about being a father. And I feel like thanks to Alfred, he's accepted that, he was a pretty good dad in regards to Damian, as best a dad as he can be, being Batman at the same time. But, I'll still say it from forever that, it's not the beginning or the end that matters. I feel like it's that journey to, even if it's a shitty ending, it's that journey that you've gone through, especially in comics.
I like a good ending with it too, though.
You would not have liked Mass Effect 3.
I don't like Ass Effect anyway.
I love Mass Effect.
Ass Effect.
It's not Ass Effect.
It's Ass Effect.
So, those were our thoughts on the resurrection of Damian Wayne. I felt like it was a great article. You can check it out on newsarama.com. But we saved the best bit of news for last.
Oh, man.
This is amazing.
You were so excited.
We talked about how Batman's 75th anniversary was coming up, and how Bruce Timm was working on an animated short, and then, what's his name? Darwin Cook was doing a Batman Beyond animated short.
And we finally saw images of Bruce Timm's short.
They are also up on our Twitter at Reasons I'm Broke, but you can find them on newsarama.com as well, Bleeding Cool, pretty much anywhere, dccomics.com. Images of Bruce Timm's Batman short, which is all in black and white, have been released. It's 5 of them. This special will air alongside Teen Titans Go and the new Powerpuff Girls show on April 9th.
You were so excited. I was upstairs and I hear, oh, yes, Bruce Timm.
You're like, what's he doing?
What is he watching down there?
If you check out these images, it is essentially a kind of like a merging between season 4 of Batman the Animated Series and season 1 through 3. Like, the design has the long ears from Justice League Unlimited and Justice League, but it has like that same build from the animated series season 1 through 3. It's all in black and white. You have the curvy women that Bruce Timm has, and of course there's one of those.
There's going to be one half naked in there. Kelly, it's only like 30 seconds long. There'll be half naked women.
And Hugo Strange is the main villain of the short, which I thought was fascinating because there was really only one episode from the animated series with Hugo Strange. It was called The Strange Secret of Bruce Wayne. This was an episode in which Hugo Strange had pretty much hooked Bruce Wayne up to a machine that revealed that he was the Batman.
Yes.
Almost connects to Batman Forever, actually, when the Riddler does something almost exactly the same when Jim Carrey does that.
Batman Forever?
You remember that one. You don't remember the one afterwards, which had Mr. Freeze. But Hugo Strange, his design in this is exactly the same as in the animated series. Like, nothing was changed. And even the Batman, other than the longer ears.
Because Bruce Timm is so cocky, he's like, why change it if it's already perfect?
Basically. I found out later on that the reason... I was like, why did he change the Mr. Freeze design to be like that kind of weird one from the other season?
The skinny one?
The Heart of Ice Mr. Freeze design was actually designed by the creator of Hellboy.
Oh. So Bruce Timm went, I'm going to change it because it's not perfect.
So these images look great. I'm really excited. It looks like it's going to be no voice actors. So it's going to be like a
Kevin Conroy
soundtrack
sick?
only. He must have been sick, so they went...
It does. It looks very much like... And again, because it's in black and white, but kind of like a black and white, like you said, just musical soundtrack, which I think will be great if they do it right. It'll be amazing. It'll
work out great. And yeah, like you said, if they had gotten someone else other than Kevin Conroy for this, it would have been blasphemy. Because you do not put Bruce Timm designs without Kevin Conroy's voice over them. It's unfathomable. You can't. You really can't do that.
Call the floods, Noah!
Russell Crowe, get in here.
The world has sinned.
Too wicked now. Too wicked.
Maybe that's what happened. Maybe they're like, Bruce Timm's like, okay, we need to get Conroy. And they're like, nah, we can't get Conroy. He's like, then there will be no words. That'd be great.
Maybe. So it looks like it's going to be awesome. It looks like, Bruce Timm really worked hard on this. And I hope they gave him like no restriction on this special. If you don't want to tune in on April 9th, it'll, of course, be up on YouTube somewhere.
It'll be up like an hour after. Not even. I give it 20 minutes after it goes up on TV.
By next week's episode, we'll have already seen this short. And I really, really can't wait. It's like the next best thing to actually getting another episode of the animated series or another season. And I hope that the success of this, along with the figures that they're coming out with, I don't know, maybe it's just... I hope it's not just them trying to bank off of people like me who grew up on the animated series and Mask of the Phantasm and all of that. But maybe it is them testing their waters for some kind of project later on. I know it's just wishful thinking and it probably isn't happening. I'm thinking way too much.
They're just banking off you, Danny.
They're probably just banking off of me. But
these motherfuckers have just graduated college. They got money now. Even if they don't, they won't eat for a week.
But I'm just so appreciative of the fact that this even exists. So, looking forward to it.
And that will actually do it for our news this week, which means we can jump into comics, which is my favorite part of the day. We're going to start out with our indie books. First up, we have Adventure Time, The Flip Side, number 4 of 6. This is written by Paul Tobin and Colleen Coover, with art by Wook Jin Clark, Colleen Coover, and Courtney Bernard. I really liked this one.
It was a really good issue.
It was great. It made me laugh because it made it seem like high school. I mean, when you're in high school, it does feel like a war. It opens up and you think they're in this crazy war and there's bombs going off and stuff flying everywhere. And then it turns out it's all to be voted queen of some dance. And I was like, when I was in high school, it felt like that. Yeah. And you look back on it now and you're like, that's silly. That means nothing. That was pointless in the grand scheme of life. But... Colleen must have been in this situation. She was channeling her inner high school girl. And fantastic.
Yeah, it was great. It was pretty much the crew trying to get one of the princesses to win a popularity contest.
Portrait princess.
So that the Monkey King would want to kidnap her, which is kind of what they're on this whole journey for. I think what's going to end up happening, since everything is flipping, the Monkey King is going to flip and want to kidnap the queen or the princess, and that's how everything's going to be solved, personally.
Probably. That's a good idea. We get to see some great LSP moments.
Oh, yeah.
Amazing.
If you like LSP, definitely pick up Adventure Time, The Flip Side, number 4. There's 2 issues left on this one.
Can I spoil a little bit? I'm going to spoil a little bit. My favorite line in this whole thing is when she thinks she's playing the game, and the one girl comes up, she's like, let's go out. And he's like, okay, A, no way. B, who would want to in that dress? Or C, yeah, let's make out. And LSP's like, C, I like to mix things up. Don't you want to know what happens? It was great. It was really funny, really well written. I'm loving the art in this arc too.
Oh yeah, Wook Jin Clark really, really killing it with this. And Colleen Coover with the covers. I think that's the cover we ended up getting with LSP. Really, really good. Next is Red Sonja number 8, written by Gail Simone with art by Walter Giovanni.
Great issue also. Tries to get some from the cook.
She does. This one, basically the story is, if you haven't been keeping up with it, she has to find these great artists and entertainers for this Egyptian's massive party that he wants to have before he dies. If Red Sonja can get all these people together, he will release all of the slaves that he has under him. If she cannot, he will actually murder them all along with him. So, that's how she gets hooked, because she's a good person. At the end of the day, she does want these slaves freed. So she's on this quest. She's already got the world's best cook, or the region's best cook, and now she's getting the next person, which is an animal, master or trainer or whatever. So, and that's who she tries to get. She finds out the animal master is an evil asshole, and she wants to kill him.
Well, she had met him before, and I don't remember where, because she had vowed to kill him. So now she's in conflict, because does she kill him, or does she take him back to the thing so that she can free the slaves?
Right. And what I really liked about this issue is it has a lot of action, but it's a lot of Gail's humor. Like, there's this portion where, if you remember the last issue, Red Sonja's really trying to get some, and at one point she can't sleep, so she's like, you know what, I'm gonna screw the cook. So she goes to try to seduce. Her thing of seducing is just like, all right, cook, you know,
get in there,
basically, and make it quick. And he's like, whoa, maybe you're not my type, and you're kind of smelly. And that's where Gail had probably the best line in all her writing, which was, I'm Red Sonja, I'm everybody's type. Which was really funny.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was great. That part was really funny, because I was like, is the cook not into ladies? Because he's not jumping on that at all. Mm-hmm. He keeps, whoa, now, wait a second.
Right.
Maybe you should take a bath.
That's like the second person that's brought that up to her, right? Like, does she smelly or whatever?
And she's like, oh, maybe I do need to bathe. But it was great. There was a lot of justice in this comic, which made me happy. I don't know. I like the animals, too. After seeing Noah, I'm like, yeah, you're all innocent.
This was my pick of the week.
Really?
Red Sonja number 8, yep.
It was very good. Was it my pick? I'll come back to my pick.
With Red Sonja, there is some news coming out from Dynamite Comics. They have announced that they have extended Gail Simone for at least one more arc after this current one.
Fantastic, because once Gail is off of it, we're off of it.
Yeah, exactly. The next arc is Conan versus Red Sonja.
Sonja's going to get some.
I actually think she's going to get some at the end of this arc. I feel like Gail is...
From the cook?
I don't know who. Probably one of the other artists or whatever. Maybe the cook, I don't know. It would be a good roundabout thing.
Where he's like, now you've bathed. Okay. Next up, we're going to move into our Marvel books. We have She-Hulk number 3, written by Charles Soule, with art by Javier Pulido.
If you remember, number 2 ended with her having to help out Dr. Doom's son.
We don't know his name. He's just Dr. Doom. I don't know his son's name.
I thought his name was like Francesco or something. We're not big on Marvel, so I'm sure someone out there's like, no, that's not his name, but...
His name is Francesca.
We're going to call him Francesco.
She, in this one, is helping him try to get citizenship. Mm-hmm. And dumbass waited until the last day to try and get his citizenship, so they're running around like crazies.
Mm-hmm. You can tell Charles Soule is putting in his, knowledge of law, because he's like, okay, so this is actually how it works. And yeah, he does have until the last day, 1 year, to get his citizenship, and Dr. Doom won't have it. Basically, he wants freedom, because under Dr. Doom, even though Dr. Doom would have him rule, this small country, he still sees it as prison, because it's Dr. Doom making him rule this small country.
Right, and he has to rule in Dr. Doom's way. He can't change policies. He can't make his own decisions. He has to do what's been laid out for him.
Right. And at the end of the day, Dr. Doom is a powerful villain, and, he won't have any of that. But She-Hulk is not quick to give up.
Mm-hmm. Because she's She-Hulk.
Yep.
Set up some great stuff for the next issue. I'm still wary about her assistant with that creepy monkey. Mm-hmm. I don't like her.
Did you sense a small love story between Dr. Doom's son and She-Hulk?
No, not really.
Oh, you didn't catch it?
Really?
Maybe
I catch all the love stories.
Yeah.
I'm the one who catches all the love stories. I thought she was just annoyed with him.
Right.
He showed her money, and then she's like, yep, let's do this. I sensed a love story between money and She-Hulk.
So it was good. 3 issues in. Strong arc, strong series, strong comic.
I agree.
Yep.
Very good.
Next is our next Marvel book is Ultimate Spider-Man number 200. This one's written by Brian Michael Bendis with art by Mark Bagley.
This was a very sweet comic. This was, I think, a lot of closure for some people. I didn't read the book before Miles showed up, so I don't really know what happened there. But this was really heartfelt. I cared, even though I hadn't read these events. Yeah,
I definitely agree. It was a little odd that number 200 came out at this time, but it is a very, very good buffer between what currently happened in Cataclysm and them putting in Miles Morales in his own book for Ultimate Spider-Man. Even the title of the new comic that's coming up, I think it's this month, is called Miles Morales Ultimate Spider-Man, which I thought was interesting because now he's more than Ultimate Spider-Man. It's this character that Brian Michael Bendis has developed, and I feel like I connected way more to this Spider-Man than I did with Peter Parker. That's one reason why I'm dropping Superior Spider-Man.
It's because he was Hispanic-y.
Yeah, that's exactly why.
No, I agree. I definitely, I feel like Peter Parker is kind of he kind of comes off across as this, and he's not perfect, but kind of like perfect, and he gets everything right, and he, it all works out in the end, and he doesn't have to figure everything out because he just knows.
Right.
That's what he comes across. And with Miles, we're reading and we're actually growing with him and working through his problems with him and saying, no, I get that Mom died, but you gotta keep doing this. You gotta keep being Spider-Man.
And I thought Miles' best friend was gay. Like in this one, he just suddenly likes Gwen Stacy.
Just kind of likes everything.
He could be bi. That's true.
Well, good for him.
But I did like that sub story where it's like I think he likes Miles. Like I thought that was cool.
That was really, maybe he just grew up. I mean, this seems like it takes place in a different space.
I don't know. But it was a good issue. Mm-hmm. If you want to read it for yourself, first broquette that heads over to marvel.com/redeem. Put in this code and you can read Ultimate Spider-Man number 200 on your computer or on your favorite iDevice or Android.
Your code is FMD4DBWGU2J0. Definitely read it. Let us know what you think. You can hit us up on Twitter at Reasons I'm Broke.
On to some DC books.
DC, my favorite books.
This is a brand new creative team for Detective Comics. It's Detective Comics number 30. Written by Brian Buccellato and Francis Manipoul, with art by Francis Manipoul.
I really enjoyed this one. We're starting a new arc. We get some new characters. A little confused at the end, but it'll all work out. Batman was a badass.
Batman was great. The art was amazing. And it does feel like a breath of fresh air.
A brush of what?
A brush of Batman's cape as he destroys the story with awesomeness.
Hell yes.
I can't save that. There's no way I saved that one.
It feels like a breath of fresh air.
There's a bunch of new characters introduced in this one, including an 18-year-old girl, someone who loves going on motorbikes and doing stunts and all that.
Motocross.
Named Anna Aguila.
I think she's going to go somewhere. I think they would not have focused on her as much as they did, and it looks like they put a lot of thought in her design.
Mm-hmm. A lot of people, along with yourself, are speculating that she could be another candidate for the new Robin.
Mm-hmm. I picked up on that.
One reason is Harper Row is Bluebird, so there goes that as Robin, as I initially thought she would be the new Robin. Not the case. Wrong again. But this one, her last name actually translates in Spanish to Eagle.
Ah.
Not exactly Robin, but it does continue that symbolism of flight and birds and all that.
Right.
So it could be just another member of the Bat family later on that maybe they call her the Eagle or whatever.
Or a new villain or vigilante or superhero or...
Right.
I mean, we see some stuff with her mom at the end of the book. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it sets up a lot. The only reason that I feel like you and everyone else picked up on that, like, Robin connection is not only do they make it a point to kind of connect her to Flight and into, like, that sidekick type of mode with the way she's introduced, but they go right back to Damian. Like, there's a lot of Bruce thinking about Damian, and there's one line in there in which she says something like, just wait till Damian turns into a teen. And it's just one panel of Bruce just looking down. And it's just like, oh, damn it. I'm feeling for you, Bruce.
Always back to Damian.
And Alfred going on about how, you know, Bruce was a great father and all that. It's just more Damian than usual in this. So I feel like it's going to compare to whatever story they're going to have here with Anna.
Agreed. They're setting up for a great arc, though. I can't wait. At the end, I love what they did with the panels at the end. Did you notice where we're jumping into two different points?
Yeah.
And it was so cool.
And there's a giant squid.
Yes, he was awesome. He's like, nom, nom, I'm gonna eat you.
Giant squid that they just feed people to.
I know, this isn't my normal food that I eat, but I'm gonna eat it anyway. I usually eat some fish, but I guess a person tastes the same. Why would a squid eat a person?
Because Gothamites taste delicious.
It's all that Joker fish they've been eating.
Tastes like justice. Eating all those criminals.
He's a justice squid. Justice
squid. That should be the new Robin.
Yeah, squid. Robin, go.
You see the squid like kicking criminals with its little tentacles. And
Darn it, squids can't live outside of water.
This one can. It's Batman trains it.
It's the Justice Squid.
It's just a squid. It's not just a squid. It's been trained by Batman to live outside of the water. That should be the next Robin.
Okay, Dan.
Was this your pick of the week, or you're still thinking about it?
I'm still thinking. Just let me think and digest it, Danny.
It's a good jumping on point, though. Detective Comics number 30.
Definitely. Next, we have The Movement number 11, written by Gail Simone, with art by Freddie Williams II. I would almost consider this a jumping on point as well.
Yeah, it does start a new arc, but it's kind of self-contained, everything. It's like a one-shot story almost.
Right. I really like this one. I think this has actually been one of my favorite ones of the series.
Really, this one?
Yes. Mostly because Burden, I think, is my favorite character.
Mm-hmm.
I really, really like it. And he's got that one line. I've been using it all week.
Yeah.
But no, he is one of my favorite characters. This is great for his backstory. And kind of, I think, really shed the light on a culture. Maybe it's because I relate in not as violent way to what was said and the message that was kind of trying to be portrayed here.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, basically, they explore way more of Burden, the character, who, as we know, is a character that turns into like a demon and uses powers, and now we're giving the explanation to all of that, and we're given his history. We know that he was tortured because his religious family would whip him, trying to get the demon out of him, and his brother, who has angel wings, was always viewed as the good one. Well, you come to find out that it's the opposite. You know, the angel's the evil one, and the demon form is actually, he's the good one in the family, who's been actually mentally and physically abused by his family.
Right. What it is both he and his brother. Can I spoil it?
Yeah.
Okay. Both he and his brother can shapeshift, essentially. And so he chose this form because of what he had been told his entire life. Right.
That was a great explanation. Like, you hear us talk about all the time that supernatural, like magic and all that, doesn't really fit in our view of like the DC universe. That's why we like Batman so much, because it's so set on like this guy without powers who goes out and trains, uses his body and his brain and all that. It's great. And for this one, like shape-shifting is still like pretty fantasy based. But for this one, it's given an explanation. Like you mentioned, he views himself as this bad and evil thing, so that's what he chooses to become. And, you know, at the very end of the day, he finds out who his real family is.
And he likes boys.
And he likes boys. Gail Simone, just another gay character, I guess.
Well, and then she introduced the two earlier that were gay, too. And I thought Trimmer was asexual, but I don't know. What do I know?
I guess it's one of those things that it's just diversity for the sake of diversity.
I guess.
I don't know. I didn't feel
She's like, we're canceled. Fuck it. Middle fingers in the air. She walks through.
So I'm surprised you really liked it. It's really interesting.
I did. I think it's just because I like Burden so much. He's one of my favorite characters. It told a great story. There was suspense. There was intrigue. There was the bad man. Justice was served.
And finally, the last book. Not really a single issue, but it is a new trade that came out. Another printing of Superman Red Sun. This is the trade paperback, the brand new edition. It's written by Mark Millar with art by Dave Johnson and Killian Plunkett.
I love this story.
Red Sun is amazing.
It's great.
It's really good. One of the best Superman stories out there, if not the best. Me and Rick from Those Two Jerks podcast, you can check them out as well on Stitcher and iTunes. We talk about how this Superman Red Sun should be like the next DC animated movie.
That would be great.
And it would be great.
For those of you who don't know what this is, and I'm sure most of you do, Superman Red Sun is a what if Superman had landed 12 hours later and landed in Russia rather than, you know, with Martha Kent.
Right, in the U.S. And it's a great spin on the whole story. Lex Luthor is awesome. The Green Lanterns in this are great. Even Batman. What were you saying? Like, I almost thought we weren't going to have a Superman loves Batman moment this week.
No, it's all over the place in this book. So there's... Man, I hope you all read this because I'm going to spoil it anyway. Okay, so there's this Batman who's trying to stop Superman because he's bad, because he's Russian.
It's Soviet Batman with his little woolly hat.
Yes, he's got like a raccoon hat or something. Anyway, so he ends up dying, but then all these people idolize him and realize the good he does, so, you know, they start dressing up as him. Well, rather than killing all those...
All of the Batman, right?
He kind of lobotomizes them. I don't know. He fucks them up and then keeps them in his house. And there's probably a naked one in a maid costume or just an apron somewhere.
Superman loves Batman theme song. So he makes he makes them their sex slave.
I
His
guess.
sex slaves,
Well,
I guess.
he probably no because they're not.
They're not him.
Right. They're not the original one, and so he thinks about it, and he's almost there, and he's like, "No, I can't. It's not him." But he still keeps them all.
That's probably what explains like that real big churn he takes later on, because it's after Batman dies that he just gets really evil and angry.
That's
and
what it is, because his one true love was lost forever, and it was his fault, but he didn't want to admit that it was his fault. But he keeps capturing all these fake Batmans in hope of finding one that filled his heart. But it never happens, so he just keeps them to clean his house and wear little clothes and, things.
Soviet Superman loves Batman. So we had one this week. That will do it for comics and the podcast this week. Let's go ahead and run our pick of the week. Mine was Red Sonja number 8 by Gail Simone and Walter Giovanni.
I'm going to say mine was The Movement number 11. Good job, Gail. Blew us away this week with both your books.
Yeah, 2 Gail Simone books. Pass of the week, did you have one?
No, I don't think so.
Did not have one either. I enjoyed every single one of these comics.
I think we've kind of weeded out the bad ones that we have been picking up, so now it's
through
just
the subscription.
Gold. Yeah.
There's gonna be one.
Well, yeah.
One of these series is bound to have a bad issue. So these were great. Jumping down points, of course. The She-Hulk number 3, you can jump on with the next one, She-Hulk number 4 and 3. Also, Detective Comics number 30 with a brand new creative team. Jump on in, it has a great start to it. And you were saying earlier, The Movement is kind of a one-shot, a self-contained story all in one issue. And obviously, if you love Superman, even if you don't, a great Superman story, Superman Red Sun. The brand new trade paperback is out. Comes with concept designs for the character.
So cool. But I think that will do it for us this week. Thank you guys so much for listening. You can check us out on Twitter. Just search The Reasons I'm Broke. Hashtag The Reasons I'm Broke.
It's at Reasons I'm Broke. On Facebook, though, you do have to put in the. The reason is we can't fit The Reasons I'm Broke on Twitter, so it is just at Reasons I'm Broke. On Facebook, you go to facebook.com/The Reasons I'm Broke. Also on Stitcher, you can also search our podcast, The Reasons I'm Broke.
We're also up on iTunes. Search The Reasons I'm Broke. Leave us a rating, review, comment. Helps other people find us.
And that will do it for this week. Thank you for joining us, Brokettes, new and old. I'm Daniel.
And I'm Kelly.
See you next week.